Hey everyone, this is Jace bringing you another Ever Crisis video. Today I'm going to be showing you my clear and a guide for the Hell House EX3, which dropped 3 hours ago. And I'm not sure if they gave us any notice that it was going to be dropping tonight, but I was super excited when I logged in to do the holiday event stuff and this was out. So I have a team of Sephiroth, Matt, and Aerith. Sephiroth and Aerith are going to be my two magic DPS because it's very important that you bring magic DPS for this fight because the boss is weaker to magic. Matt is going to be healing for us. So if we take a look at Sephiroth, we have Edge Wings at OB4. We have the Shinra Blade in his offhand. Looking at his stats, we're at almost 3,000 magic attack, which is pretty wild. Just under 6k HP. I'm going to show my materia off here just so you can see the stats. This fire didn't exist until just a few days ago. It's important to craft the materia that you're going to need for the events that are present. For sub-weapons, I have Matt's Ice Weapon, the Parasol from the Summer event, and then Aerith's Silver Staff. Matt's Weapon and Aerith's Staff both have Ice Potency on it. So Sephiroth is going to be doing some pretty strong ice damage, 41 points, level 4 to boost Ice Potency. You can see the rest of his R abilities there. Taking a look at Matt, Brian number in the main hand because he's healing. In his offhand, I'm using Stingray, which is his magic defense down debuff weapon. I'll show you the materia that I'm using on Matt as well. I have a Blizzara and a Fire because the boss is weak to fire and ice, alternating. And I have a Kira because you'll need some single target heals for this fight, most likely. At his sub-weapons, I have Glenn's Hardcore Squad, the Shiva Blade, and the Chocobo Staff for some healing. Looking at Matt's stats, his magic attack is only about 1500, his physical attack is higher, but then again the boss is weak to magic attack. Here are his R abilities, 1 point off of the next level of heal, but it's okay, we don't need that last level there. And then taking a look at Aerith, Sun Umbrella in the main hand, again I'm running her as a magic DPS here. That's the Ramu Staff in her offhand. Here are the materia. I have a 5-star Blizzard materia. With the status substats. The others are a Fyra and Stat Stick. Yeah, here are the substats on my Blizzara materia. It's really depressing. Here's my Fyra. 2700 magic attack, about 6k HP. All my sub-weapons for Aerith are free event weapons. That's the Barret weapon that I haven't finished yet, the Cloud Magic Sword from the holiday event, Matt's Cane from the holiday event. None of these are fully overboosted yet. But that's fine. Here are Aerith's R abilities, maxed out magic attack. And yeah, there you go. Those are the rest of her R abilities. Okay, you can see that I'm running all 3 summons, Hellfire, Judgment Bolt, and Diamond Dust. All of them are maxed out, level 5, full summon stream completed. This is the strongest team that I have. Because this is such a difficult fight. So let me know if you find the guide to be helpful. If you do, go ahead and leave a comment. And if it helps you out in your run, feel free to like and subscribe. It goes a long way. All that being said, let's get into the video. Okay, Hell House EX3. Now the first difference that you're going to notice compared to the EX2 is that the bombs that he will summon at the beginning of the fight are going to be fire bombs instead of ice bombs. So what I'm going to be doing here is I'm using a Blizzara on Aerith just to make sure she doesn't use Night Bloom because we want these to die pretty quickly. Once Aerith has hit the bomb with the Blizzara, usually Sephiroth's Aerial Frostblade from his Edge Wings will kill it right afterward. Might have to hit it once or twice. Yeah, this one didn't die immediately, so just had to tap it with one other ability. And with Matt, in between selecting abilities on Aerith and Sephiroth, I was using his Core Sting, which is the magic defense down debuff, on the boss, so that when Aerith and Sephiroth switched over to the boss would have a full magic defense down debuff running, and we can get to DPSing. Just like in the EX2 version, I'm not doing any healing in this portion of the fight. We have to beat this gauge. I don't know how much damage the boss's ability does if you don't finish depleting the gauge. I never found out. If I didn't deplete it, I restarted the fight, because even in the EX2, it was almost enough to kill the party, so I can only imagine how much damage it's going to do in the EX3. once we've fully depleted the gauge and the boss gets stalled, just like in the EX2, he gets a bunch of defense down debuffs. This is our chance to heal up with our healer, of course, and with our DPS, this is another damage window. So we still want to be doing as much damage as we can with our damage dealers, but you'll definitely want to make sure that you're topped up as much as possible so that you don't fall behind. It's going to be very easy to fall behind from an HP perspective on this fight. It's just very tight. Yeah, you see that? Look at Sephiroth's HP there. He almost died. And that's with the massive physical attack down that the boss gets when you deplete the gauge. I opt to use these 2 limit breaks here. This was just from trial and error. I'm able to use these and they'll be back up when we need them again later in the fight. But coming up is going to be one of the big differences between the EX3 and the EX2. Just like in the EX2, the boss is going to get another gauge, but he's going to use God House mode. He's now basically immune to damage. He has very strong resistance to both physical and magical damage. He summons 2 more bombs. You notice that part of his gauge is missing. Instead of the gauge going down because we are damaging him, he's basically sacrificing part of his gauge in order to summon these new bombs. What that means for you is that the purpose of this phase is to just kill the bombs as quickly as you can so that they don't burst on you. You don't want to use summons here. That's one of the reasons I used the summons before. If you use summons here, sure, you'll kill the bombs. He's just going to summon more like he did just there. You can see that his gauge depleted again, but he still has those very strong physical and magical resistance buffs going on right now. So a summon would just be wasted damage on him when we can just kill these adds normally. Here's when I make an error. So after the gauge is fully depleted, he will get defense down debuffs just like normal, but I jumped the gun here a little bit. Even though the gauge is depleted, you have to wait a second for him to actually get stalled and for those debuffs to appear. I didn't wait, so it was wasted damage on the boss. It damaged the adds, but the boss didn't take a whole lot of damage at all. There are the debuffs. So if you're going to use the same summon timing as what I'm showing you in the video, just make sure you wait a couple more seconds for those boss debuffs to actually show up. Okay, we're once again in a damage window, so we're just trying to pump as much damage as possible. With Matt, I'm putting up my magic defense down debuff as appropriate. With Sephiroth and Aerith, I'm trying to pump as much damage as possible. I'm even going to use my summons here. This was, I believe, this timing was just kind of guesswork. I figured maybe they'll be up again by the time I need it. I do a lot of trial and error for these harder fights, and it just happened to work out in this particular instance. We're pretty healed up, so I didn't spend any time trying to heal up any further than I already had. And we make sure that we switch into defense mode to soak this hit. Now, if everybody's at full HP, it's not quite as terrifying as it was when Sephiroth almost died during the first AoE, but that doesn't mean that it's a cakewalk, so we still want to use this time right after taking this hit to heal up as much as possible. I'll continue doing damage with Aerith and Sephiroth, but with Matt, I'm pretty much only healing until I feel like everybody's at a comfortable HP level. Here, just like in the EX2, the boss is going to do a countdown, and at the end of the countdown, he's going to begin a telegraphed attack with a cast bar, and he's going to get another gauge that you have to fight through. You don't have to deal as much damage to get through the gauge, but the ability charges much faster. You're going to have to deal ice damage. So basically, I've done everything here I can to set my party up. I've even timed Sephiroth's attack so that it would land right then to get the gauge down a little bit faster. And I already have a little bit of magic defense down on the boss, and I'm just trying to pump as much ice damage as I can. My plan was to heal up afterwards if I needed to, but again, just got to get through that gauge as quickly as possible. I ended up getting through it pretty comfortably, but I had some other attempts where I got through it not so comfortably. But at this point, again, another damage window. Do as much damage as you can, and just be ready for that stun to fall off and to get into defensive stance. This AoE is much tighter than the other two, so at least for my team, I had to be pretty much absolutely topped off, if not fully topped off, in order for everybody to survive this hit. Yeah, Sephiroth is almost dead there. Coming up is going to be another phase where we're going to have to deplete a gauge on the boss. This time we'll be focusing on fire damage. The boss is going to summon 2 more ice bombs. For this specific one, I opted to just clear the bombs using the summon. Now, if I'd been thinking straight, I would have put a magic defense down on the boss first before I used the summon. It's going to completely obliterate the ads, but we're not actually all that concerned about the ads. We're very concerned about the boss. We want to get through this gauge as quickly as possible. And for my team specifically, I decided that I was going to treat this more as like a DPS race. You don't necessarily have to, but I figured, you know, with those attacks applying a resistance down debuff for both ice and fire, the big AoEs that he does, I didn't know if I'd be able to survive another one of these attacks. I think I probably could have, but I figured after a few attempts, the boss was so close to dead that I may as well treat this like a DPS race. One thing to note here is that I'm pushing really hard. I'm not healing as much as I possibly can get away with it. And in order to make that happen, I'm actually switching to defensive stance now anytime that the boss launches out those chairs. There are going to be a couple here and there where I don't make the switch just because I'm trying to really push as far as I can. And I also had the plan in mind that if I needed to, I would use a summon to stall if he was going to launch more chairs here at the end. Thankfully, I was able to get through the gauge beforehand, so I decided to put up my magic defense down debuffs and then pop my summons. Judgment Bolt deals a decent amount of damage, but thanks to all the ice potency that we have on Sephiroth, Diamond Dust is able to finish out the fight for us. And there we have it. That is the Hell House EX3 fight. So again, if you found the guide helpful, be sure to like and subscribe. Let me know in the comments if there's anything in the fight that I missed or anything that's unclear, or if there are other things that you want me to cover in the game. I'm thinking about doing more just general topics like, you know, a combat primer for people who are thinking of making the switch from auto battle to manual, since you need to do that for these harder fights, that kind of thing. The last thing left for this event is the Crash Battle, which, after finishing the EX3 here, is now unlocked for me. Do I do it? Not today, I don't. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you in the next one.